All right, guys, welcome back to this week. I'm super excited for this week. One of you guys that listens to us totally hooked us up with this girl, and I'm super excited. And she just seems awesome. I've loved watching her stories. She just seems super sweet, and she's got a really dope accent for those people that listen with me here in Utah. You know, I'm all about those accents. Anyway, I have Jenna on here. I don't know much about her except for that she is an amazing adoptive mama and she's written a book. So I'm excited to learn more about her and have her introduce herself and learn all the wonderful things about her. So Jenna, I'll go ahead and turn the time over to you.
Awesome. So hi everyone. I'm Jenna. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you so much for having me. I am an adoptive mama. My family actually welcomed a 5-year-old boy named Christopher this past August through adoption. So he's just the little light of our life. We are so in love with him. He's just the most wonderful child. But yes, such a blessing. And then I guess a little bit, I guess to backtrack a little bit. So my family and I decided to pursue adoption. I think we became serious about it for, God, it'd probably been about 2 years now. And then it took about a year of research on, what avenue of adoption to do, what kind of consultants do we want to work with, or an agency or an attorney, just kind of learning the ins and outs as best as we could before we kind of moved forward. And then it was actually November of last year that we started our home study. And then that took about 5 months to complete. And then since then, we were awaiting family. And when it came to Christopher's case, we got the call. And I should say, we worked with the consultant. We applied for a case in the evening, on a weekday evening. And by 9 a.m. the next morning, we had found out that his mother had chosen our family to raise and love him. And we did a Zoom call that evening with his mother and him and his siblings. And then the very next morning following, so like 12 hours later, we were on our flight to Orlando. So now we're back here in Chicago with Christopher. It's been a wild year.
Okay, yeah, Delance probably has questions too. I have questions. So,
I have
Sure.
questions. You go first.
how many siblings
Yeah.
does he have? Can I ask that in total?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So Christopher actually has, okay, so he has, okay, I
Is
should
she
actually
glitching?
backtrack on that. There's a lot of moving pieces here. He has an older brother that is 10. He is 5.
Okay.
He
Okay.
has a brother is 8 and a sister that is 1. And then
Wow.
that's who we met when we went down there, where the sibling, his birth mother. And
Okay.
then we found out after kind of speaking with the caseworker and connecting kind of the dots and everything. And then also, obviously, Christopher can talk too. So he has been able to provide a little bit of insight just on everyday conversation.
Yeah.
That he also actually has a sister that falls between his older brother and himself. So my
Wow.
husband and I are kind of under the assumption that she's probably 7 to 9, we would think.
Okay.
But Christopher does not correlate really that she's his sister. They're all half siblings, but he
Okay.
can't correlate that yet. He kind of says that's my older brother's sister or that's my older brother's girlfriend. So that's kind of where it's like a lot of putting the pieces of the puzzle together.
Gotcha. Okay. So,
Yep,
and is he the only one that has been placed for adoption, or have the
that is
others?
that is correct. So he is the only one that has been placed for adoption at this time.
Okay. Okay. Do you have
I
questions,
know, I
Delancey?
know. Yeah,
I
bring them
do, and
on.
I'm like,
I know we
I
had
don't
them
I was
too.
gonna
know.
say I have more, but you ask one, Delancey.
Like I have them, but like I don't know. Like I don't know how to ask them without sounding like either one or two things. Like I don't want to like I don't know. I don't want to sound. I have a feeling no matter how I ask, I'm going to sound ignorant because this is something like that's a brand new avenue, and no matter
Mhm.
how I say it, it's going to be like, wow, that Southern girl dumb is how that's
What?
going to come out. And I'm just saying because like this is a whole new. Because I appreciated Jenna what you said. It's like the what avenue you wanted to go down,
Mhm.
and then you're obviously up north.
Correct.
and you went
Oh yeah.
to Orlando.
Yes.
How did those dots get connected between being
Sure.
where you are now and going down to Florida? How did that end up happening?
Sure. So this is actually a case through, so it was through private domestic adoption. So it
Okay.
came through our consultant, actually. It was a case that was presented to, that came through our consultants, and it was one where we had just kind of a brief write-up on, it was very brief. It was about mom, a little bit about Chris, and
Mhm.
then it was kind of one of those, like, do you want to move forward with submitting like an application and giving your, presenting your profile book. And so that's kind of how the dots were connected. So when we heard about, like, when we heard that mom had chose us, it was through our consultants.
Okay, remind me, because I was trying to hurry and look it up before you got done. But how many kids do you have right now?
Sure. So I actually, myself biologically, I don't have any. I have a stepson that is going to be 17 here in like 2 weeks. And then
Okay.
I have Christopher, who is 5.
And he's so cute. I just pulled you
Thank
up and
you.
he's to die for. Like,
Thank you.
oh my gosh. If you're
Thank
watching
you.
this on, can I show it if they're, because people watching on
Yeah,
YouTube or do
please.
not? Okay.
Yeah, go
Delancey,
for it.
that's him. You see him, Delancey? Look how sweet. Yeah. Like, are
Oh,
you
Oh,
kidding
yeah.
stinking
me?
cute.
Yeah. So cute. So cute. Um, okay. Is
I
there,
had a follow-up question. I'm so
no,
sorry.
go for it.
Like
No,
y'all
go.
froze a little bit, so I'm curious. Like y'all froze a little bit on my end, so I missed like a little smidge. But my follow-up, and if you mentioned this while y'all were frozen, I'm so sorry. But like, what is a case? Like, what is that specifically? Like,
Oh, sure. So what our consultant did was they worked with an agency that was out. They were actually a consultant based out in Florida, and
Mhm.
they worked with an agency that worked with the birth mother out in Florida too.
Okay.
So they kind of connected through there. So when I say like we received a case, it was just an email that said that, there is a birth mother that is seriously considering adoption for her 5-year-old son. They did provide a picture of Christopher. They
Mhm.
kind of gave a little bit of her background as to why she was deciding or thinking of making this plan. And this is what she was kind of hoping for him, in his future. And if
Mhm.
you feel like you're a good match, you can click, it was pretty much click yes or no. And then if you click yes, then we have our family profile book that was sent over to birth mama's caseworker, and then she presented all these profiles to his mother to look through. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So is it
Yeah,
through
it's
an
like
agency? Sorry, Delancey, as I cut you off.
no,
That's what I want to
no,
know. Is
you're
it
fine.
through
I
an
was
agency
yeah.
or is it just through like a person? Because I know we have somebody here who it's like a bunch of
Mhm.
social workers who they're not an
Mhm.
agency, but they help people like that
Mhm.
too. Yeah. So I don't know if it's
Sure. Sure. So this was actually like an agency based out in
okay.
Florida that was working with the prospective mother. Mhm.
Okay. Cool.
Okay,
Yep.
Okay,
so
Delancey,
with
go.
the
Sorry.
agency, it's just it's following up on yours because like I feel like I have so many questions because like I don't think we've ever gone down this avenue before, and if we
No,
have, I
it's
obviously
exciting.
slept through the whole thing.
No, you have
But
because we
okay,
have
good.
it.
I'm
That's
just
why
glad you
this
could.
is cool.
I'm just glad you confirmed it because I'm like, did we talk about this?
No,
Because
no, we haven't. We
I
haven't.
don't. Okay, good, not crazy. So with it being an agency, I'm guessing that means that it's kind of like agencies are nationwide. You're not really restricted by, is that the right way to say that? Restricted by the I guess the laws, because we looked at different laws and how they applied with open adoption and closed adoption and
Sure.
how everything worked with that. Do those still apply? That's the first part of the question. And the second part of the question, my simple brain is putting this into like, hey, you said we're interested. Here's an invitation of a brief little thing that we're thinking. Click yes or no. If you RSVP yes, then we're going to invite you to do this. If you RSVP
Yes.
no, we'll send you the next one. Okay. I'm glad
Yes.
my brain's that simple.
Correct. Yes. So the agency is, it is an agency with a bunch of licensed social workers.
Okay.
They work in the state of Florida specifically. I don't know if they do very much outside there. When we were presented this situation, or the case, if you will, with our consultant, they don't list the name of the agency that the prospective birth mother is working with. So I know it's a licensed social worker. I believe there were 3 or 4 people within their practice. And I don't know if they really do, if they work with primarily prospective birth mothers, and they also offer different types of counseling just across the board as well. I don't know if they do really anything outside of Florida. I don't think they do, but I could be wrong.
So you could have been connected with other people outside of the agency in Florida. You could have been connected with agencies like,
yeah,
it just happened that this was the right fit. This was the right thing to happen. Okay. I just want to make sure I understood that.
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your turn, Melanie. Your turn with questions.
Oh, my turn.
Melanie just looked at me like, my turn.
Well, no, because I was still stalking her stuff just so I can ask more questions there too. Because I did want to book as well, but I still want to stay on this. So, he's the only one that's adopted. Remind me that, right? Correct.
That is correct.
And I totally respect this, but can I ask why he was the only one placed? And if not, that's totally okay.
Sure. So, no, that's totally okay. I mean, that is honestly a question that we had for the caseworker as well when he found out he was siblings. We knew he had siblings going in. We did not know how many he had before we actually met him or did like a Zoom call. According to the birth mother's caseworker, it seemed like with Christopher, it seemed like the 10-year-old, the mother relied on him for assistance with care for Christopher himself and the 2 younger ones. And then with the 2 younger ones that were really little, she was actually married at the time, or is still married to their birth father, or the biological father, but they are currently in the midst of a nasty divorce, and he is trying to take custody of the 2 younger ones.
Wow.
Yes. So, and some of this is, I guess,
oh no, she's freezing.
This is all just kind of piecing things together and kind of thinking maybe did find out that Christopher went and lived with his biological father for a little bit in Texas. And some things happened there where DCFS was called, and then not necessarily on his father, but it was actually on his the father's girlfriend. And they took Christopher out of the house and put him into a foster care home for, we're assuming, around 3 weeks, based on putting pieces of the puzzle together. And then he did go back to his mom in Florida after the fact. So maybe it was a safety concern too. I'm really not sure. That's kind of all the information that we've gotten and kind of pieced together. But in terms of like the timeline, that's kind of up in the air.
That's just oh, bless his heart. How is like
that's a lot.
Can I ask how he's transitioned? Because I mean, I know, like for me and Delancey, we were babies when we were adopted. And so, I mean,
Sure.
There still can be hardship with that, but I feel like I don't even want to say it, easier. Because I get,
I'll
like,
say
kids,
it's easier because we don't know any better. We don't know any better.
Right.
We're children.
So like
we're infants.
Yeah. Because kids that are like, 5, and from what he's been through, from what you said, oh goodness, oh goodness.
Oh, I know. It's been it's heartbreaking to hear. And I mean, he has recollection, obviously. He knows kind of what's going on. Clearly. So in terms of transitioning, honestly, it's been going as well as it can be, considering that he's a 5-year-old that also has, kind of been dispersed between different types of homes and different type of family dynamics. He's had some trauma in the past as well, obviously. will say though that his mom, his birth mom, did prepare him for this, and she spoke very positively of adoption. So when we got on the Zoom call to like FaceTime before we went down to Florida, she had already said to him, like she had already showed him like him photos of us and said, you're going to be going to Chicago. You're going to be living with a new family. This is going to be your new mom and dad. This is really exciting. So when we got on the FaceTime call, when he jumped on, he was like, "Oh my gosh, is that my mom?" And I was like, wow, like, yeah, me too. That was my react. I mean, I literally was like, wow, this is, wild. But I mean, he knew clearly she spoke very positively of it when he saw it. My husband and I for the first time, he came up running, giving us a big hug, wanted a lot of interaction. And I mean, overall, the transitioning has been, I would say, fairly, I don't want to say, I mean, smooth. Obviously, there's been, little bumps in the road. He does have some separation anxiety, which I mean, how could you not when you've been, back and forth into different homes throughout that time?
Yeah.
So, and then he also too definitely lacks self-confidence, which is really sad. I think, I mean, somebody, like there was one time he was getting dressed and he was trying on something and he like looked at me and he's like, "Do I look ugly in this? Like, do I look ugly?" And I'm thinking, how would a 5-year-old comprehend what that means in that type of situation unless somebody had said that to him? So, and that kind of goes back to like, there was definitely some like verbal abuse along with a little bit of physical abuse with like the father's friend. And it was just very sad. So, I mean, we are working through that. We're, every day gets better. We are working on finding, him, like actively working on getting him into therapy. The caseworker that the birth mother worked with, we're still in touch. We talk, I would say probably once a week. And, she's given us a lot of recommendations about like what types of therapy he could really benefit from, kind of how to address certain type of situations and topics. So that's been very helpful as well. So, I mean, overall, I have to say it's going again, as well as you could anticipate given the circumstances.
Right. Did the birth mom leave it like an open adoption or is it closed?
So she did. So we went in thinking that she kind of wanted something that was semi-open. It is, I would say it's definitely more open than closed. She right now is still kind of transitioning with just so many moving pieces of her life and the other children to where, I mean, I have her phone number and I do text her and I provide updates to her of Christopher.
Awesome.
But I don't want to be overbearing because I don't want it to be a trigger for her because I know she's got a lot going on.
Right.
And I just want to be sensitive to that too. But I also want her to know that, her son is safe and he's loved and cared for. And, and I don't want her to think like, we just came in and was like, "Oh, thanks, we took your 5-year-old, now back to Chicago we go and never hear from you again." That was never, we would hate that feeling if she were to ever feel that way.
Like I love it because I love where you're like your feelings are in tune for him and it seems like the same exact thing for like from his birth mom. It's like everybody just wants the best for him. Like they truly just want the best for him. And for the kind of woman that she is to sit there and like tell him everything about it. And that's what I was going to ask too. Like, does he call you guys mom and dad? I mean, because she kind of introduced it to it like that. And so my guess is like he does, right? He calls you guys mom and dad.
Yep, he calls us mom and dad. He did from the moment that we saw him. We were mom and dad. And we speak very openly about obviously his biological family and his siblings. And we also encourage those conversations as well. He lived with them. He loves them. He cares for them very deeply. And, when his mom she was a great mom. She just was faced with some really crappy circumstances. And, he was very close to his 10-year-old brother and they were really close. And, I don't ever want him to forget those parts, to his life. So yeah, I mean, but when we speak of her, when we speak of him and of them, we just keep it very positive, and we just say, like, you have two moms and you are loved very, very much, and that your mom needed some help, and she chose us to help, and we are here to help, and we love you and we care for you, but you are also loved by her too.
See, I think that's so great because, I mean, granted,
It's
he's
so
gonna have
refreshing.
some demons. He's gonna have demons because, I mean, with
Of course.
everything that
Oh, yeah.
happened, but just the way that you are with everything, so open
Mhm.
about his birth moms, just so open about like letting him feel all those feels, like, oh, I think it's amazing. I do. I think you're
Oh,
amazing, Jenna. Like, so amazing.
oh,
Like,
well, thank you.
I
Thank
just,
you. I mean, I just can't imagine. I mean, this poor little boy and this poor family. And,
yeah,
they say too, like, yes, like our family, we welcomed a new family member, but, for their family, it was like something was like falling apart or dissolving in a
yeah,
sense. And like,
Mhm.
that is so traumatic. And, we want to be like empathetic to that too. And I would hate in the fact to have him one day grow up and think that like my mom didn't like my mom, if you will, or my birth mom,
yeah,
or my mom didn't like
yeah,
my brother. You don't want to like, they don't
right,
like them. Like, no, that was never the case,
yeah.
and we want him to know that he was loved. He was loved. And she made a very, very hard decision. And she told us that on the phone that,
Mm.
she was being judged. And through, a sea of tears, she said, I hope that my hardest decision is the best decision for him,
Oh my
So, and like, I
gosh.
will always tell him that, I tell him that, and I will continue to tell him that he was very much loved.
I just it's kind of what me and Delancey were talking about it last week because me and her both we do kind of get frustrated when they say they blanket it that adoption is trauma because we feel like with
Mhm.
both of us we haven't really experienced
Mhm.
that, but with like
Sure.
stuff with your little guy 100%. But Delancey
There's
also
trauma.
like we were talking about it last week with birth parents. Every single birth parent has trauma because they
Right.
are taking a
Mhm.
huge piece of their heart and giving it to somebody else, oh,
Right.
and relying on that person to love and
Mhm.
protect and take care of that baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
so for
yeah.
her to say that, like, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that through my hardest time. I hope it gives him the best thing. And that's how
Yes.
I've always felt about adoption because that's how my birth mom like was the same way. She was just like the
Yeah.
hardest thing I've ever had to do, but I hope it's the best thing that can ever happen to you in your life.
Mhm.
And to me,
Mhm.
it's so selfless and it shows how
Yes.
much
Mhm.
they love that kid
Right.
way more than anything to want the best
Yes.
for
Mhm.
him. So,
I mean, I think that's like you said, the definition of what love is, selfless love, is to be able to put your feelings aside and think what is best
yeah.
for your child. And I mean, I told her when we left after meeting her, like before we went headed back to Chicago, I told her, I'm like, I gave her a hug. I'm gonna feel like I'm getting emotional too, because I was like, but I'm like, I want you to know that like you gave me the greatest gift, and thank you for that. And I was like, I promise that your son will always be loved, and you will always be safe, and he will always be cared for. Like he will be. I will do anything in my power to do that. So he's just my world. He made me a mom. She made me a mom. She chose me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Oh, and he's
So,
so cute. I could squeeze him. Like those
oh,
pictures of
thank
him
you.
just
Yeah, his
ooh,
his smile lights up the room.
he's so cute. Anyway, okay, so sorry, Delancey, I kind of took over. Do you have anything that you want to ask her?
No, I was gonna follow up with he's so precious. I think what I because like my adoption is very similar to Melina's. It's very well, kind of similar, even though it's like different avenues in a way. But it is one of those things of after meeting bio mom and everything, is she being able to sit down and her walk me through the whole story, because like you don't really know you need to know the story until you know the story, and then you're like, oh
Sure.
Right.
yeah, my heart needed that. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, gotcha. But the biggest thing that she said was she knew it was the right decision. It was the right thing to do. It was tough, all of that. But she said the toughest part was not knowing that
Yeah.
after like a nurse asked her, "Do you want to hold her?" And she was like, "Absolutely, yes, I do." And another nurse came in and said, she's not allowed to hold her, and whisked me away. And as far as she knew, I was gone. Like that moment, I was not there
Yeah.
anymore. And for her, I, she's told me over the years, it was not knowing a thing, like did not know a single thing. So yes, she gave you an amazing gift, but you gave her such a gift,
Yes.
such a
Oh,
blessing of peace of mind, knowing that her baby is going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
That yes, it was the hardest thing she'll, like, just like you said, and just like she told you, hardest thing she will ever, hardest decision she'll have to make in her life. But she has that peace of mind after you telling her and her meeting you and seeing you, and like you gave her such a gift of peace that's something that, I mean, I know my bio mom didn't have until we actually met and I was able to
Ex-
tell her, yeah,
yeah.
I had an amazing life. Let me tell you about my mom. Let me
Exactly.
tell you about my dad. Let me
Yeah.
tell you about my sisters. Let me tell you all of this stuff.
Right.
You gifting her that is right up there with her gifting you with being a
Agreed.
mom.
well, thank you. I can feel the tears starting to well. That's so heartwarming. Thank you.
No,
That's
it just, I
so,
mean,
one of the biggest things. Thank
it's
you.
just, it totally is. And I love the fact that, like, I think it's kind of like a woman thing, at least women that like are sensitive to others,
Mhm,
of how you're like, I want to keep her in the know and I would like to text her once
mhm,
a week, but I also know she's probably going through a lot of hard
mhm,
shit right now. And I also want to respect
Right.
those boundaries and not do anything to make her crumble even more. Cause I think we
mhm.
can all relate to that when we know somebody's hurting and we're like,
100%.
well, I want to be there for them, but like, am I being too much? Like, you know what I
It's like
mean? Like, and
I want
Yeah.
so,
to fix it. I want to
yeah,
make you feel better. I want to give you a smile.
yes,
I want to give you a hug. I want to give you all the
right.
blessings
Yes.
in the world. But I
Mhm.
also feel like that might be suffocating you at the same
It's so true.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's for, I mean, that's a very good point for women. It's a fine line.
Yeah.
It's a dance we have to do. But
Yeah.
I mean, for the women that are, I mean, because not all, for some reason, not all women are like this. I don't get it
No, you know,
how
I
not all
yeah.
women are like this, but for the ones that are truly empathetic towards other and can feel it,
Right.
they know that dance very well.
Yeah. And I guarantee you she's like 100% in tune with you, Jenna, because she's probably just
Hmm.
like learned and she can be like, she knows it's coming from a place of like sincere
Hmm.
love. And yeah, she
Right.
probably knows
I,
that, you know?
I hope. I hope.
Yeah. Yeah. She probably does. No, I think it's I just love it. Like I seriously, you can tell your heart through this. Like people
Hmm.
like and just following you and stuff and watching your couple things, like just your relationship with him and what you say like about I just love it. I just think he's so
Oh,
cute. Like
well, thank
seriously,
you.
he's so cute. So 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 cute.
Okay.
Um tell us about like your book because I know you've got a whole nother Instagram
Hmm.
page for your book. So go ahead and tell us about that.
I I do. So this actually sprung up kind of out of nowhere. So when my family decided that we wanted to grow through adoption, um, I really thought it was, obviously important to have the full story for our, hopeful child, if you will. So I went online searching for like kind of like a baby book, but then also like a life book type thing that really included like not only like my perspective or my family's perspective, but also like the birth family perspective or the birth mom, and or at least information, that we can write about this so that he or she could have something, in one place that kind of gives their full story. So I went online, couldn't find anything. And that's kind of where I thought to myself, well, you know what? Like I have a little bit of background of marketing and graphic design. I have the means to do this. So I can just create my own. And then I started thinking too, like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to get it right. Like I want to make sure I'm using right terminology and be respectful in that case. And like, I just started officially started the adoption process. So we were right in the beginning of stages of our home study. So I thought to myself, okay, I like reached out to a support group that I was on Facebook and asked, some women on this group, if they wanted to give feedback, like this is what I'm thinking of doing. And if you would like to help with like, or give any feedback of like, if you were to have this, what would you want to see in it? What kind of terminology would you use? What's important, what's not? I would love to create like this, like, you know, baby book in a sense that has a perspective of the adoptive family, but then also the birth family too. So I originally started it as like a fundraiser to help with like funding part of our adoption, and the concept just kind of blew up. So I started selling the books and doing like customizations for them. And then it kind of took off from there. So it was something that was completely unexpected. But man, I so grateful that I've been able to, help others in the way that, you know, they've been able to help me. I mean, the community and the people that I've, connected with have been fantastic, and they've been so supportive and responsive to this. I mean, and there's nothing better than receiving, a DM or an email saying like, thank you for this. Like, I've been looking for this and I can't find it. And I'm so glad I found it now. Like, I love that I have this for my child. So like, it just kind of came out of nowhere, really. And then to kind of go into that, now that we've been placed with Christopher, and we experienced not only the waiting side of adoption, but also, the post placement or the ICPC and the post placement. Now we're kind of in a whole different like realm of finalizing, and that's kind of where my husband and I are like, you know what, with these books we've created such a great space, like why don't we turn this into a nonprofit to where we can help other families like ourselves with like helping finance their adoption. So right now we're in the process of like reorganizing to a nonprofit. So it will actually be called Found with Love Foundation, and it will be like officially launching, if you will, in January 2023.
I was gonna say that's so cool, and I was gonna shout it out like
Milena.
I know, like okay, so her thing is Bound with Love Adoptee Life Books, and you guys, I know we have a lot of adoptive parents that follow us. This would be gold for your child. I'm one of those people that like, if this was an option with open adoption, this would have been such a cool book to go back and look through and have. I think it's genius, and I'm so glad it's like taken off for you. So like
Thank
we
you.
can link it and everything, but like, and how cool that you're going to a nonprofit now. It doesn't like, it warms my heart so much when I hear people that want to do that kind of thing, because I think adoption is so ridiculously expensive. And so
It is.
I just
It
love
is.
that you guys are on a mission to do that. So
It is.
I love it. I love it. We'll link everything so you guys can find Jenna, because she's the cutest, and like, oh my gosh, flawless in that picture.
I was gonna say the picture.
Like,
I
you
am
want to come
like
do
just
my makeup, Jenna?
obsessed with that.
Thanks, guys.
and he's just to die for. He's just so stinking cute. Like, I still can't get over him. He's so cute. But
Thank you.
I love that. I think that's so awesome. Yeah. So like, see, like, oh, you guys can't see. I'll wait till later. I'll share it on my Instagram story too, because I think it's just so awesome. And I love what you're like, no, I seriously love what you're doing, because these kinds of things will definitely help people and then give them more hope, like to make things, because I know so many adoptive parents right now are so freaking scared of adoption because all the negativity that we were actually talking about before we even came on here and went
We
live.
were, because there's
But
so
like,
much, and there are even adoptive parents in those lives, and they're calling out adoptive parents or people who are considering adopting for that. Just want to point that out. Continue. Sorry.
no, it's true though. And it's just so sad. And it's just like, my thing being a parent now, granted my kids are biologically my own, but I'm just like, who wants to be told what to do as a parent, first off, when you're trying to do
Right.
your best anyway? And of course you're going to screw up. Like we talked about that, just me and Delancey last time. Like, you're going to do something that your kids are going to be like, Mom, remember when you did that? Yes, I remember when you know what I mean? Like things like that. But it's just like, you just got to let people be people, and you got to like, I mean, granted, I get people are trying to like help people learn, but then there's also nasty and rude and disgusting and mean, and that doesn't help anybody learn, whether it's adoption or not. Like, you have to go with love and education, not hate and disgrace because you're so mad at something that happened in your life. Anyway, okay, sorry, that took a turn. Delancey, do you have any other questions with her book or anything?
Questions? No. The book, I think that I feel like I know a few people that here locally that would be super interested in that, because I don't want to say we don't. I am not aware of something that we have down here like that. I think that would be very helpful. So can you shoot me that in a DM, Melina?
Yes,
Thanks.
I will do that. And then, yeah,
Because
and we can
I
even
can
share it
already think of
on,
a few parents.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. You're good. It's like, I just think it's wonderful. And I love what you're doing, Jenna. Like, seriously, I think it's just so great. Cause
Oh,
like,
well,
and I
well,
love
thank you.
what you're doing too with I don't know, like, it's just a happy story. Like, even though there's going to be so much hardship and as he grows older and
Right.
everything, and there's going to be hardship there. And like, we're going to be
Mhm.
aware of that. Cause
Right.
like, I mean, stuff you said that he's already said about putting clothes on and stuff that just breaks my heart. But like,
Uh,
I don't know. He's got somebody like you who's going to be amazing. I don't know your husband at all, but he's
Mhm.
probably the same way. And it's just, this little boy, it reminds me of The Blind Side. He's not that old, but that's okay.
Yes. Well, like it's one of those things of like this child is coming from probably a not so great situation, and I'm not saying any fault towards the birth mom at all. Like,
right,
I don't want
Correct.
anyone to get that misconstrued. But
right.
like you said, for him to say, "Do I look ugly in this?" No, that's not like it blows my mind that that would even be a thought in a kid's mind.
Right.
But for that
Right.
kid, for this beautiful soul of a child to be teed up by birth mom and showing love in that way, I mean, yes, bad stuff, obviously bad stuff, but it just goes back to what Melina and I always say is that yes, there's bad stuff. We acknowledge there's bad in everything. It happens.
Yes.
But the level of blessings for him to run to you and immediately call you mom and immediately call your husband dad, you can't tell me God's not in that, and you can't tell me it's not a blessing and it's
It's so
not
Right.
in
true.
the plan.
It's so
Like
true.
it just, I just love it.
Yeah.
I love when I hear stories like this, so I can be like, ha, straight to the kiss
Yeah.
of haters. Like, because I mean, but it's like because you are such a breath of fresh air. This is,
It's true.
and I always say that whenever we go down a different avenue than what we're accustomed to, than what we're
Exactly.
familiar with. I did not
Exactly.
know what was going to happen tonight. I knew your name
Me
was
either.
Jenna. That was it. That was all I knew. I knew because we share a calendar, and I looked at the calendar earlier today, and I was planning out my day as I'm drinking my coffee and doing my devotional, and I'm like, okay, I have a meeting, break. Okay, we got the podcast night, and it's Jenna. Cool. Don't know anything about Jenna, but I'm going to learn tonight. And I am so glad that I
Yeah.
did because this is the avenue that people needed to hear about,
Agreed. Yeah.
because the message that is being spewed on TikTok right now about this particular avenue of adoption is it's blanket statement negativity.
Disgusting. Yeah.
And this is the perfect example of not all of it's the same. So I'm so glad we're here, and I'm so glad you joined us, accent
I
and
know.
all, because now
I'm
I'm not
Well,
the only
thank
one with an
you for
accent on
having
here.
me. Accent and all.
I was gonna say, I'm glad Jenna said yes. And I was so glad that I think it's Kaylin that referred me to you because I was just so
Yeah.
excited. Like, because I didn't realize her story either. I knew she was Jenna. I knew she was an adoptive mama. I knew she
Mhm.
had a book. I knew her little boy was to die for, but you don't know much of people's stories until you get them on like
Mhm.
face to face. And like,
Right.
you are just a beautiful soul. And I just hope so many
Mhm.
good and amazing things for you and your cute family. And that little boy, I want you to know he's just so incredibly
Oh
blessed
my
and is
gosh.
going to have so much love, and God just is watching over you guys and him, and
Mhm.
it's beautiful, and I'm excited to watch it unfold, and I'm excited to watch him grow up and all those things. And we just need more people like you guys. Like, I'm not even
We
kidding that,
really do.
you're acknowledging that there's hard and hurt, and you want to do your best to support that with all parties involved. But then also,
Mhm.
it's such a beautiful thing, and you're so grateful for everything that's happened. I just love it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it so
Well,
much.
thank you. Thank you. I just my goal is to I want that little boy to know that he's always loved. He's
Yeah.
always loved. He's loved by very a
Mhm.
lot of people.
Yeah. Well, if I ever
He's
come to Chicago, I'm meeting up with you and I'm going to hug him. He's going to be like, who's this
Mhm.
there
crazy
you go.
lady?
Oh,
He's gonna be
oh,
like,
he'll love it.
and
He's
you
all about
are.
that.
I know your mom. It's fine. I'm just kidding.
It's fine. I know your mom. We're cool. We're friends. No big deal. It's fine.
Oh,
Everything's fine.
he is a social butterfly, so he'll come
Oh,
right up
so
to you and be
cute.
like, "Give me a hug. I'll take
Oh, so cute.
it."
So cute. Okay, Jenna,
Yeah,
what advice would you give to potential adoptive parents? Because we know that it is a lengthy process. We know that. We heard that at the very
sure.
first with
Mhm.
your story, but what is like
Mhm.
advice you would give them?
Oh my gosh. I know it sounds so cliche, but it's like, I guess to just anticipate, like, get ready, like, expect the unexpected. Like, things are going to happen that are completely out of your control, and you can't, like, it's going to tear you inside and out because you want to, like, at least for me, I wanted to control certain things or couldn't understand why or what. And it just let it go, like, let it go, expect the unexpected. You got to let it go. And then there was one quote that somebody said to me too that really stuck with me throughout my really hard times when we were like going through this process. And it was that, that God already has a plan for you. Like God's plan is already set. You're just going through it right now. And I just kept thinking like God has a plan for me. It's already written. Now I'm just living it. Just let it be. So that really, really helped throughout the hardest moments.
Oh, I love that so much. Cause I mean, I don't know if you saw anything, but we are both very, very faith-based and we both believe that God is 100% in adoption for the naysayers that say he's not. And so I absolutely love that because it's 100% true. 100% true what you just said. And I love that. And that's a quote I dropped from Jenna. It was so good. Anyway, Delancey, do you have anything else for her?
Not that I can think of. Like, I'm just amazed. I'm so happy. Like, I'm just so happy that we got this story, that we got this whole thing. Like, it's just.
And it's different. And that's my favorite thing is like we're finding stories and I love that we're finding these gems that are completely different. Like they're part of adoption, but it's complete and it's beautiful. And it's beautiful. And I just love it. So yeah. Anyway. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Jenna, for joining us tonight, taking some time out of your night to do it. Oh, I don't know when anybody's listening to this. If you're listening to this in the day, it's nighttime here. So anyway, but thank you. And we'll link, like I will link everything so people can come find you and all those things. And cause you got to go see her. She's first off stunning and her little boy is just adorable. So seriously. And I got a new friend in Chicago. I'm just going to have to go on a world tour, not a world tour, a tour of the states and go meet all these people.
Wait, time out. Can we like do an RV trip to everybody? I feel like that'd be super fun.
You know how much fun that would be? Yeah. Okay, let's do
fun.
it.
Pocket
but I ain't coming in the winter. Not in the winter, Chicago. I think I would die.
Gosh,
I would
die.
die.
I can't believe you.
Dude, the second she said Chicago, I was like, Mississippi's not that bad anymore.
Oh yeah, they're brutal. So if you want to pass this up, I totally understand.
We'll just come this summer.
There you go. Sounds
when
good.
She goes, this is not making fun. She goes, oh yeah.
I love it. That's my favorite thing ever. Finding people with accents because my Utah accent is not cool like you guys at all. It's not.
Oh man. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me, you guys. This is awesome.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna. You're the best.